Hello everybody and welcome to open training at Manchester United's training ground just at the Jimmy Murphy Centre. Now, as you can see, the players are entering onto the pitch, trying to spot players coming back from injury here. I think we can see Sergio Reguilon. That is a funny one because when you see the press conference in a little bit, a lot of people were shocked because it looks like, well, it sounded like Ten Hag said Sancho was back, but he actually said Sergio, so you'll see it. Everyone's faces drop for a second, but Sancho is not back, but Sergio Reguilon is back, and it also looks like Kobbie Mainoo is there training as well, so that's really exciting because Kobbie Mainoo in pre-season was just excellent, and it'd be really good for Erik Ten Hag to have him as an option to bring on off the bench or to even start games. He looked excellent in pre-season and got a really good chance out there, especially against Real Madrid. Ten Hag seemed to favour him, so the fact he's back in training after an injury, which was really unfortunate, is good to see. And Ten Hag even said himself in the press conference that there's a lot of players that can play in the midfield and it's a competition for places. At the end of the day, he can only put out 3 midfielders. Sometimes he puts a midfielder on the right with Mount and Bruno, but realistically it is only 3 spots there. So you've got the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, Christian Eriksen, who Ten Hag speaks fondly of in the press conference later as well, McTominay, Casemiro, who won't be available for the game tomorrow due to his red card, and Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, Donny van de Beek. There's so many options for him there in the midfield. Unfortunately not as blessed defensively, but in the midfield, Amrabat I can just see running along as well. He's another option. There's a lot of players to pick from. Dangor as well, coming through with the academy. It's also training with the first team now. He's another option, so it's great to see that midfield depth starting to strengthen. Hannibal as well, I can see him running over as well. So many players that he can pick from, and as you can see there, the players starting warming up on their jog. Anthony and Dalot talking with each other. It's good to see because they need to form that relationship on the right hand side, and they seem to be definitely getting stronger at it and getting better at it. Dalot obviously contributing with a brilliant goal at the weekend, so hopefully we can see more of that partnership down the right hand side, a little bit more of an overlapping situation, which we haven't seen much of, but hopefully that relationship will start to build. Players going on a little run here. I'd be out of breath by now and probably would need to sit down, so they've done more than what I could do, but I would expect that considering they're professional footballers. But I might take some tips for my training later on with this. Marcus Rashford with the ball. Would be nice to see him get a goal tomorrow, especially considering the drought that he has been on. I think it's 1 goal in 12 games for Marcus Rashford, which, considering how good he was last season, he'll be disappointed with that, and he'll definitely be wanting to get on the score sheet tomorrow night. Huge game tomorrow night, everyone. If Man United lose this game or even draw this game, mathematically we're not, but you would consider Man United out of the Champions League, really. So it's a must-win game for Man United to have a chance of getting out this group. Copenhagen coming to Manchester, and Rasmus Højlund's brother actually will be coming along as well. He plays for Copenhagen, Højlund's old club too. So Højlund will be looking to impress tomorrow night, and I would not be surprised with him getting on the score sheet. I expect him to get on the score sheet. He seems to be scoring all his goals in the Champions League so far, which is unfortunate. We've not been able to capitalise on them goals to convert them into points, but tomorrow night could be the night against his old club. It's sort of it's like it's written in the stars, really, for him to score tomorrow, and it'd be nice, especially in front of the Old Trafford crowd, to win us a point. So a lot of players with a point to prove out there tomorrow night, and just looking up now to go and start the training after the little warm-up session. I always find it really interesting to see which players are with the other players. We've seen the little kind of cliques throughout. Bruno Fernandes often pictured with Varane, with Anthony, the Portuguese speaking and French speaking players. We know he can speak multiple languages. See the likes of Marcus Rashford, Harry Maguire. I am struggling to see, to be honest with you, though.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, just go and do them right there.
I think we should get Mark over here to try and do a football challenge with some of these, see what he's got. Could he score a goal in Anana? That's the question. I don't think he could. So right now you can see you've got two different groups of players. I'm struggling to see through the fence, to be honest with you, but there's two different groups of players that are currently just seems to be doing a little bit of a passing exercise. Often see this a lot of times at Manchester United training, where you've got two groups of players. You've got players in the middle trying to get the ball off the other players, hopefully to keep them sharp and keep them active. We see it a lot of the time. Ten Hag seems to really like to use this one, and it's interesting to see what group of players are with each other, whether that means anything. When you're looking towards the game tomorrow night, it'd be interesting to see if any of these players will get in with a start. I know Mason Mount is obviously out there training. He did get dropped at the weekend to Sheffield United. Some would say rested, some would say dropped. I would say it was getting dropped, to be honest with you, and I thought it was undeserved. I think with Mason Mount, he's had a good start to life at Manchester United. I know there's been a lot of controversy whether him and Bruno can play in the same team. I think we'll see that again tomorrow night. I do expect Mason Mount to start. But to only play 5 or so minutes at the weekend, it was a little bit of a shock. £60 million from Eric Ten Hag, number 7 shirt, and a game that he really did need to win at the weekend. And obviously McTominay did score them 2 goals in the Brentford game, which sort of solidified his place in the starting lineup. But the fact that Mason Mount was left out, a lot of people thought maybe he'd play on the right instead of Anthony. But he went with Anthony on the right-hand side, and Mason Mount couldn't seem to get in the starting 11. So tomorrow night, I do expect Mason Mount to start. I have a feeling that Eric Ten Hag would have had the conversation with Mason Mount to say, look, you're not going to play this game, but I'm really relying on you in the week against Copenhagen, a must-win game in the Champions League. So it'll be interesting to see the way he is utilised in that game tomorrow. The mood looks good, though, in training. The mood looks good, and it should be. Because Man United, despite having a difficult start to the season and despite performances not being up to scratch, they have got 2 wins on the bounce, which is expected for Manchester United. But this season, with the level of performances and games going by that you'd expect Manchester United to win and not being able to secure the points and the amount of goals conceded, them 2 games, getting the 3 points out of them, it might be Brentford and Sheffield United, but to get them points on the board, it puts us in a good position going into this week. And it's an important week. Copenhagen tomorrow night, must-win game to keep us in the Champions League, and then you've got the derby on Sunday, where miraculously, and I don't know how on earth this has worked, but I looked at the table, if Manchester United somehow managed to win against City at home, which is a derby, anything can happen, there would only be 3 points behind City in the table, and then people are talking about Manchester United. What can they do this season after they've been written off a few weeks ago? So it's a massive week for Eric Ten Hag and his players. But in training, it does seem like the mood is really high. You can hear the shouting, you can hear the players kind of bigging each other up, talking to each other. It does seem like a good mood in training, which is lovely to see, especially with all the doubts over whether this team was behind the manager. I think they definitely are. And you know, of course, you can't just look at a training session and say that, but you can definitely look at a training session and gather the mood, and the mood looks positive, it looks happy. Someone who does look very happy, actually, is Anthony Martial. We saw him previously in the warm-up when they were running round. Just seems like really good body language, high-fiving players around him, and now looking at him over there, he's got his famous black gloves on. We know Anthony Martial with the black gloves can always cause a problem. Seems to be in a good mood, talking with the players, and I actually did ask Eric Ten Hag about Anthony Martial and whether he'd think to play Højlund and Martial in the same forward line, because you look at the forward line this season and they've been under-delivering. They've not been scoring enough goals, they've not been cohesive enough, and it made me wonder, Højlund struggling to maybe get as many chances as he would like. Would Højlund benefit from Anthony Martial playing? So it looks like the team are going to come over to this pitch very, very shortly, just doing a little bit of a training drill over there, and we'll get to see more in depth of the training that Eric Ten Hag put together with them today, which is good because, to be honest with you, I can see a little bit, I can gather the mood, I can gather the vibe, but I have got my contact lenses in as well, which means I can actually kind of point players out a little bit, but you can't see the in-depth of what's going on right now, but they will be coming over very shortly and we'll get to see it more in depth. I'll be able to look at the players with more detail and see the relationships and see what is going on in training. And a lot of people have been asking, actually, I've just seen him got nutmegged twice. Who was it that just got nutmegged twice? Bruno Fernandes just nutmegged, I think, was it Anthony Martial twice after I was just bigging Anthony Martial up. Good job he's a striker, not a defender. But it'd be good to see Bruno on form, especially after the criticism he got at the weekend. I thought it was unwarranted. Yes, he didn't have a great game, and by no means do I think Bruno Fernandes played well against Sheffield United, but he got absolutely criticised from pillar to post on the fans forum. You saw it with me. I was defending him to Ricky and to Faz. I saw it online, and I think people need to realise what Bruno Fernandes can bring to this team, and also what he brings in terms of mentality, in terms of leadership, the way, again, in training, he just seems like an authoritative figure. It's really important to have them leaders in the dressing room, and that's exactly what Bruno Fernandes is. It's nice to see Donny van der Beek in training. Obviously not part of the Champions League squad, so you won't be able to see him tomorrow night, which is unfortunate for him, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, and I would be expecting him to try and get a move in January, if he can get one. I don't know why he didn't go in the summer, but to be training before Copenhagen, for a player, it must be so disheartening knowing that you're not even part of the squad to play tomorrow night and you don't even have that opportunity. You can see the training drills looking sharp there. Hannibal in the middle. I think it's Hannibal and Martial in the middle on the right-hand side. I just wanted to give a little bit of credit to Anthony Martial for actually managing to stay fit for a few weeks. I think this is the longest we've had Anthony Martial injury-free in a very long time, and I don't want to jinx it. I really don't want to jinx it. Oh, I'm getting absolutely blasted with the sprinklers, everyone. The sprinklers are blasting me. I'm getting water everywhere. Sorry about that, guys. But Anthony Martial, like I was saying, managed to stay fit for a few weeks now. Like I was saying before, you'll see in the press conference when I ask Erik ten Hag this question, I would like to see Højlund and Martial in the same lineup. I think Martial has that link-up play. Even though he has played at number 9 for Manchester United predominantly throughout the last 3 years, really, maybe a little bit longer, I actually find him to be one of the less selfish forward players across the board. I think he always gets his head up and looks for players. He always looks for the pass. And I think Højlund is that out-and-out number 9 that's going to be throwing himself at everything that comes into the box. Having Anthony Martial, who can keep the ball on the edge of the box, can work it round into the box. And I think when he first came onto the scene at Manchester United was looking like a very promising left winger. I'm not saying he's going to get up to that standard again, but to have someone in and around that is going to look for Højlund, that's going to keep the ball and have that link-up play with him, I think could be really nice. So I asked Erik ten Hag about it a little bit later if you watched the press conference, and I really enjoyed listening to Erik ten Hag's answer on whether Martial and Højlund can play in the same starting 11, because I think it'd be lovely to see. I am getting drenched by these sprinklers, guys. Usually it's raining in Manchester, and it's actually not raining today, but it feels like it's raining. Maybe they're trying to tell me something. Maybe they want me to leave. I'm joking, they don't. But this is where I'm just waiting for the players to come round now. I can see Højlund on the ball there, just got dispossessed. I know a lot of people always talk about what players are good in training. Is this why Erik ten Hag's still picking him in the team? There was always so much talk about Scott McTominay, how good he must be in training to be able to get the nod from the manager. And on Scott McTominay, ask the question to you guys and make sure you get it in the comments. I'll be looking through later. Should he be starting for Manchester United against Copenhagen tomorrow night? Obviously scored a great goal against Sheffield United, completely against the run of play at that point in the game. Then went to give away a penalty, which was a penalty. He stuck his arm out in the box, which was unfortunate. These things do happen though. But overall, I think I saw, if I'm correct, and I think I am correct, that he had 9 touches across the game. And I was speaking to Ricky about this, and I thought I'd bring it in while I'm just waiting for these players to come over to this side of the pitch. But I wanted to bring it in because I wanted to have a conversation with you guys, and you can listen to me while you're watching the players train on the other pitch. Ricky said, Beth, the reason why he didn't have that many touches, and the reason why he only had 9 passes completed, or he touched the ball 9 times, I can't even remember. It was a stat that completely blew my mind. It's because he was basically playing as another centre forward with Højlund. And when you're a centre forward, basically playing like a centre forward, you don't really have that many touches of the ball apart from when you're in and around the box. And I thought, Ricky, surely not. So I went and watched back the first half. He said in the first half. So I went and watched back the first half, and to be fair, he was pressing up there with the likes of Højlund, but still, his job is to be in and around the midfield. And when you look at the amount of passes that Amrabat is getting off, the amount of passes that when Mount plays are getting off, for me, I think Mount has to play in that midfield just for the technicality. And at the end of the day, who is a better football player, Scott McTominay or Mason Mount? You've got to think about that. And I would say Mount is a better football player, but McTominay is more of a goal threat at the moment. Interestingly enough, the players are now coming onto the pitch in front of us, but what we can see right at the back over there is MALACIA doing individual training. So that is brilliant news. You can see he's got a spring in his step, he's running, he's doing his own individual training. So he's actually on the grass with his football boots on, which is amazing to see, because we hadn't heard anything about Tyrell MALACIA. The ball's coming over to me. Should I boot it back? Should I show my skills, everyone? Should I do it? I mean, I best not. I'll probably get escorted out, but I mean, I really want to. It is tempting when a football's right in front of you to go over, and I mean, I just want to have one shot in Onana. Let me have one shot in Onana. We'll see. I'll see if I ever get there. I'll come back to this video. But as I was saying, MALACIA right at the back over there. Is it picking up on the camera? Can you see him through the camera? Yes, you can. He is doing his own individual training, so that is amazing news. Obviously, Sergio Reguilon is back in training. Great to have a left back. We've had Lindelof covering that role for a little bit now. We've had Amrabat fill in there. We are desperately missing a left back. And to have Tyrell MALACIA back on the grass training, hopefully it won't be too much of a long time until he's back. And that's something that we can definitely, potentially ask Erik ten Hag about in the future. Again, you can see the morale is looking quite high in training. That's what you get when you have 2 wins on the bounce, which is really important for Man United at this point in the season. Get in the comments down below, because I had this discussion on the fans forum, Reguilon or MALACIA. If they were both fit, who would you be looking to start for Manchester United? I had a bit of a disagreement with this on the fans forum. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. But MALACIA training is absolutely amazing to see, because we've missed him for so long and we basically didn't hear anything about it for months. I think he had surgery on his knee, we got told. I think that was what we got told, and to see that he's back on grass with his boots on is lovely to see. But as you can see now, the Manchester United team, first team in training right in front of us, seem to be doing a reaction-based test, which is important because as a football player, your reactions need to be at the top level, and we have seen Manchester United switch off quite a lot in games. I mean, you just look at the last Champions League game with Galatasaray, 3-2. That game should have been in the bag, should have been won. We should have won that game. The fact that Galatasaray scored 3 goals, one from a penalty, just goals conceded from completely switching off at the left side, across the middle of the pitch, sloppy passes, not knowing where your teammates are around you. These are all things that come through focus. Erik ten Hag can do everything he can do on the training ground, but these players need to be focused in game. And these sort of little tests, they're having a laugh with it now, and that's really nice to see, but they really do help your reactions on a football pitch, and that's, I think, what Erik ten Hag is doing with this sort of training. He wants to get the reactions up, and that's exactly what we need, because we need our players to be fully focused. It is something that we're lacking. More balls coming forward to us. I'm so tempted to kick one, but I'm not going to. It's nice to see the Champions League balls as well. Champions League balls in Manchester United should be every single season. Chris Wheeler's just gone and kicked one back. Does that mean I can do it? Does that mean I can do it? Someone give me the heads up. Someone give me the heads up whether I can do it or not. I'll show him how it's done. I'm joking. I think we should do our own Manchester United charity game, but that's for another discussion. We're now talking about open training. Let's see who's partnered up with who. So you have John. Is that Johnny Evans with Harry Maguire?
When? No.
Oh no, it's Scott McTominay. No. It's Scott McTominay with Harry Maguire, and you've got Donny van der Beek and Johnny Evans. Good to see Johnny Evans training, because it looked like he went down with an injury last game. So the fact that he's training is nice to see. Hopefully should be available tomorrow. Ten Hag didn't say anything about Johnny Evans being out injured for this game. With centre-backs dropping like flies and defenders dropping like flies, when Johnny Evans had to came off at the Sheffield United game and Varane had to replace him, I think a lot of people are quite worried, because he's played well for Manchester United and we need that centre-back depth. To see that he's training is really good, because Manchester United need to have them options. So you've got Maguire, Varane, Johnny Evans and Victor Lindelof as all potential options to start in the back four tomorrow at the centre-back position for Manchester United. If it was up to you, who would you be starting? I think Varane. I think Varane starts. I think he has to. I think that's why he was rested against Sheffield United. Obviously the most senior, well, it's not the most senior centre-back. Johnny Evans is the most senior centre-back. But in terms of trophies won, he has won so many trophies and is just, I think, every time he plays for Manchester United is excellent, just unfortunately riddled with injuries, which is disappointing to see. But I think Varane is going to be used against Copenhagen. I think that's why he was rested at the weekend. So who partners him? Is it Harry Maguire, who got man of the match for Manchester United at the weekend? Does Johnny Evans step back in with a 100% win record this season when he started? Victor Lindelof, I assume, will not be playing at left back because Sergio Reguilon's back. Depends how match fit he is. Erik ten Hag does like to take precaution, and we have the derby, and it's so important that we have a left back fit, so maybe he won't risk him. But would Victor Lindelof really deserve to be put on the bench? It's an interesting discussion. If it was up to me, I mean, I'll be doing my preview in a little bit, so I don't want to give too much away, but I think Varane would definitely be a nailed-on starter for me, and I don't think you can drop Harry Maguire after the man of the match performance. So I think that's the starting centre-backs that Erik ten Hag will go with, but you never know with Erik ten Hag. See with Benny McCarthy getting involved there a little bit with the training. Benny McCarthy, he just looks like such a good figure to have around at Manchester United. Rashford just went for goal and missed it, which is kind of sums him up so far this season, but hopefully that doesn't happen tomorrow. Benny McCarthy needs to be working with these strikers because so far this season, there's just not been enough goals, has there? In the Champions League, you've had Højlund lighting it up, but across the board, when you look at Rashford's return, you look at Anthony's return, he's only really just come back in, but you look at Anthony Martial's return, obviously not playing as much minutes as the other two players, but you look at that and you think more needs to come from our strikers and more chances need to be put away. The chances are coming, they're not there as much as we would like them, but the strikers need to provide more, and hopefully we see that tomorrow night. But everyone, this was open training, and stay tuned for the press conference coming up right now, and stay tuned for all the other matchday coverage we've got coming as well. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
So welcome everyone to Carrington this afternoon. Manchester United is mourning the loss of Sir Bobby Charlton, one of our greatest ever players and a giant of the global game. Please be upstanding and join us in a minute's silence in memory of Sir Bobby. Thank you. We'll now proceed with the pre-match press conference for our UEFA Champions League game against FC Copenhagen tomorrow with Erik ten Hag and Diogo Dalot. Let's start with Samuel.
Erik, it's obviously been a difficult couple of days for the club. Coming here, cap on reception, and work with the club since Sir Bobby Charlton was a player here. What's the atmosphere been like among the squad and the staff at Carrington?
As you say, Bobby was a legend, a giant, not only for Manchester United, but for Mondial football. And so his legacy was, so what he left were the standards, the high standards we have to live here every day. And of course, first of all, our thoughts are with his family, with his wife, with his children and grandchildren, but also so what he meant for Manchester United, the importance for Manchester United, the standards he set, we have to live. The last couple of days they were emphasized.
And just turning attention to the game tomorrow night, are you likely to have any players available back from injury?
Yes, we hope. I said it also last Friday. Sergio, so he got ill for Saturday, but so he was fit, trained all week, last week, and yesterday he was for a part back in training. Today he will train, and then we have to assess if he is ready and game fit, if he can be involved in the squad. So we have to wait for that.
What prompted that development for him to be available?
We have to see if he is fit enough to be part of the squad for tomorrow.
Simon.
Erik, is it easy to kind of put the emotion of tomorrow to one side and concentrate on what is a really, really important game for football?
Yeah, of course. We are professionals, and it's our job. But you can't ban emotions. But use the emotions in the right way. I think Diogo did very good last Saturday, and he scored a goal. So in the memory of Bobby Charlton, I saw a goal from him. I think it was on Wembley from distance, and like Diogo did. So use that in that way.
Diogo, for you, clearly you don't know Bobby Charlton, you would never have seen him play, but you're aware of the impact of what's happened has had, not just on Manchester United, but football as a whole. How does it feel for someone to say, like the manager just said, score a goal that's as appropriate on Saturday as yours was?
I mean, first is a big privilege to when you combine Sir Bobby's goals and they relate to one of your goals of your own. I think it's always a privilege to hear that something like that. But I was fortunate enough to get to know him since I arrived to the club. He was always there after the games with us, no matter if we won the game or if we lost the game. He was always there to be ready to give you a word of appreciation. Sometimes he would even say that we have to play a little bit better, but that just represents the standard of this club and the standard that we wanted for this club. And I think this is something that we have to look back and see, okay, if legends like this got the club to win the best titles, the best games, scoring the best goals, we have to follow those steps, and he was definitely one of those that you should follow the steps.
Okay, one over here, Sky.
Diogo, talking about legends like Sir Bobby, obviously, growing up in Portugal, I suppose Eusebio is probably regarded as the legend of Portuguese football. The pair played against each other in that '68 European Cup final. How aware were you of what Sir Bobby Charlton was, what he represented as a player?
I mean, it was something that individually, when I arrived to the club, I always tried to know a little bit more about the history of the club, whether if it was close history or even a little bit more longer history. But hearing about Sir Bobby was something that you had to add that no matter what. If you were here for one day or if you're here for several years, you obviously know him. And this type of, like I said, this type of legend is something that someone that you should follow. Not just the impact that he had on the club, but I think for English football, for world football, he was an example. And for someone like me that likes to follow good examples, he was definitely one of those. And it will be present on me for the rest of my career.
And Eric, can I just ask you about the game tomorrow? Given the state of the group, is it must win against FC Copenhagen?
We have to win every game. But if you see the group, if you lose the first two games, definitely you have to win.
James.
Eric, obviously a disappointing result against Galatasaray, but one of the positives from that game was Rasmus, his Oilers performance, scored two excellent goals, very different goals, up against his former club tomorrow. Do you feel that game offered a glimpse of that sort of the real potential he has, and they're the sort of moments to sort of whet the appetite and excite United fans about what might come in the years ahead from him?
Yeah, so first of all, we have to work on our routines. He's not so long. He misses pre-season. He misses the first 4 games. But I think from the moment he came in, he gives the team a lot. But when the routines, so when the combination, when the cooperation will be better, I think that split moment will give him more time and make better decisions to score more goals. But I think, the goals you reference on against Galatasaray were definitely 2 brilliant goals, and as well also the one in Munich. But I think he's a player. He will be always in scoring positions in our team, and I'm sure, I'm confident, as well as for Marcus Rashford. Same. They will always, in every game, when we do as a team, do what we have to do, they will be always in scoring positions, and then it's about finishing. And yeah, I think when you analyze all the games so far, we have seen that they are in scoring positions.
Okay, one from the Danish media.
Yeah, thank you. It's a question for Christian. Christian Eriksen hasn't started a game since the 20th of September, and against Sheffield United, he started out on the bench, even though Casemiro was out with an injury. How far is he from the team, and is he just not good enough at the moment to start a game?
Oh, definitely, but he take part in every game, and you see his importance when he's on the pitch, and then he has a big influence on our team by creating, and it's a great player. It's a brilliant player, and he's very important for our squad.
And just the reason why he's not starting there.
Oh, we have many good players. We don't have a squad with 11. We have a squad where there's internal competition, and in the back we have some struggle to line up. We don't have so many numbers, but in the midfield department there's a huge competition internal in our squad.
Rob.
So Diogo, you obviously won the last two games. I just wonder what the sense within the squad was about the start of the season so far, and whether you think that it's been a bit of a turning point in these last two games.
Yeah, I mean, I think every game for us is it's an opportunity to show that we want to build confidence, we want to build momentum. Obviously, when you win games, it's easier to get that confidence, and we have shown that in these games when you probably don't play the way that you would like to play, you have to find a way to win, and I think we've shown that we have that quality. We have fantastic players that can show up and turn up and give us what we need to win games, and I think we have to use these wins to build this momentum and build this confidence for the next games.
Jeremy at the back.
Eric, would it be a really fitting tribute to Bobby for the team to actually win this game tomorrow? Actually, this is the first one at home since he passed away.
I didn't hear the first part of your question.
Would the perfect tribute to Bobby be for the team to actually win the game tomorrow night?
Definitely. And is first we want to win and to tribute Sir Bobby Charlton, but also you want always to do that in a certain way, and that is what we are aiming for. But but it's not always possible. In football, sometimes you don't play that well, but then still you have to find a way to win. And so I was happy Saturday that we could show tribute by a win, but also the way we scored that second goal.
Another Danish question.
Yeah, another question from Denmark. Eric, Rasmus Højlund, he plays against his former club tomorrow. Do you sense on Rasmus that this is going to be a special match for him?
You don't. When you have a little bit so empathic ability, then you know it's a special game for him. He grew up there in this club, and then you know he will be highly motivated. But that's for me, for the team, but especially of course for him to send that in the right direction, the right balance.
Beth.
Yes. Eric, I just wanted to ask you, Martial and Højlund are both excellent strikers. Martial's link-up play is very good. Have you ever considered playing them maybe together rather than a lot of the time they're substituted for each other?
Yeah, it's possible, but they can play together. So far we didn't do that in games, but I can see that they can play together because Anthony Martial is also able to play from a side.
And Diogo, can I just quickly ask you as well, brilliant goal at the weekend. It was very similar to the one that you scored in Las Vegas in pre-season. Is that something that you work on in training, or does the manager just tell you to get forward when you can? Like, what do you think in your mind when you're getting forward for Manchester United?
Yeah, it's something that definitely we work on because we train that especially for us to get a balance on the team when the ball is on the other side, to try to have a good rest defense, and in that moment that was the position for me to be in there, because I believe Suf was a little bit more on the left, so that is the kind of position that the opposite fullback has to be to balance a little bit more the team. And then, like I said after the game, is something that I think I can do it from the distance, scoring goals. I remember the one like you said, the one in pre-season against Dortmund was very similar. So I've just tried to score, and I was fortunate enough to do it. Yeah.
Chris. Hi Eric, just wanted to ask you, what kind of atmosphere you're expecting at the stadium tomorrow? As a coach, how can you harness that to your advantage?
I think it's always special every night on Old Trafford, and the fans are always so behind us. So this is a strong bound. Remember the last game, the home game against Brentford. Even when the game is not going in our direction, they stayed behind us. So in difficult moments, in moments where it's adversity around Man United, and the fans are still with us, and we are with the fans, and we are fighting together. So definitely tomorrow, after passing away from Sir Bobby Charlton, their hero, their legend, their giant, I'm sure there will be even more very emotional evening. I expect tomorrow night. Yeah.
Last question, Ken.
Eric, you've been asked about the tribute in terms of a victory tomorrow night, but do you see Sir Bobby's spirit as something that can be an inspiration for you to go on and be successful this season and repeat some of the success you had last year?
So he is in front of Old Trafford with Dennis Law, with Joost Best, and he's always with us, and they are always a huge inspiration for us. Every day, so in every game.
Thank you very much.